Welcome, everyone. We are so happy to have you here at the 2024 ECOSOC Youth Forum. I am Junior Florentin, and I am joining you today from Coronel Oviedo, Paraguay. I've been involved with KidSpirit for more than 6 years, and I have had the privilege of being almost in every possible role since I started as an editor, then became an alumni advisor, and now I have the honor to be the liaison of the editorial board here in Paraguay. KidSpirit is honored to be affiliated with the United Nations, and we are grateful for the opportunity to share this space with you here today. It is more important than ever to mobilize youth and promote international collaboration to address worldwide crises, because future generations will be disproportionately impacted by the issues of today. Youth voices need to be the forefront of initiatives to promote social development goals and implement lasting change. I am delighted to introduce KidSpirit founding editor and executive director Elizabeth Dabney Hockman. I have known Elizabeth for more than 6 years, and during all these years, she has been such an inspiration and a role model for all of her work to expand KidSpirit, to give access to kids to expand their voices. Great to see you, Elizabeth.
Great to see you, Junior. Thank you so much, and it's wonderful to have you here with us today. Thank you for that opening. We are thrilled to see you, and welcome everyone. My name is Elizabeth Dabney Hockman. I'm delighted to welcome each and every one of you to KidSpirit's side event at the United Nations ECOSOC Youth Forum. This event, Amplifying Youth Voices through Creative Collaboration, an innovative approach to addressing SDGs, will foster and focus on the ways that creativity can build bridges across international boundaries and foster lasting and substantive changes between us. First, a warm welcome to everyone joining from around the world today. We are thrilled to have guests joining us from 24 countries and 6 continents and counting. But just to make sure that we count everyone, please put your name and location in the chat now so we can all say hello to each other. Let's take a moment, ask everyone to turn on their cameras and give each other a wave. It's really wonderful to have this opportunity. It's a rare opportunity indeed. Hello and greetings, everyone. I also want to thank our distinguished guests, including members of KidSpirit's Board of Directors, and all of you who are taking time out of your workday and your time at home in the evening to be part of this special exploration into youth voice and how to further amplify it on the global level. We are thrilled to have everybody here with us. For those of you who aren't that familiar with our organization, KidSpirit is an international not-for-profit magazine and community by and for youth to engage each other around life's big questions in an open and inclusive spirit. Each of KidSpirit's quarterly themes focuses on youth-chosen topics and features writing, artwork, poetry, and videos from teens all around the globe. Since 2008, KidSpirit has published over 60 youth-created issues from young people in 32 states and 38 countries, with 250,000 readers each year. KidSpirit has been affiliated with ECOSOC since 2021 and is also associated with the UN Department of Global Communications. In order to make meaningful progress on the 2030 agenda, youth everywhere are central to furthering the goals of SDG 16 to forge a peaceful and inclusive society, and furthermore partnerships with like-minded individuals and organizations like those central to SDG 17 are at the head of this effort. This side event will build on the foundations of SDG 16 and 17 to galvanize participants on a way forward in which the crises affecting our global family today can be improved. We plan to facilitate a robust and interactive conversation addressing both the external and internal implications of these issues, and will offer young people a space to holistically co-create innovative solutions. During this meeting, we will collaboratively draft a statement on effective ways to implement SDGs 16 and 17 through creative youth-led solutions, which will then be shared with ECOSOC, other UN entities, and KidSpirit's broader community. We hope the statement can help lead the way toward creating positive change on these seemingly intractable issues and share the unique ability of youth to inspire global leaders to take action. Before we get started, there are a couple of housekeeping items I would like to briefly mention. Seeing each other today really creates a sense of community and connection. So if you're comfortable, we encourage you to leave your camera on throughout the session. For those of you who have a username on Zoom that is not your name, please take a moment to change your name so we can address you correctly and add your location next to your name. You can change your on-screen name by clicking on the three dots on the top right of your image and select rename. Also, we are so thrilled that there are people joining us from all around the world today. We wish that we could use translation services, but unfortunately, we don't have the capacity for that at this point. If you would like to use Zoom's closed captioning feature, please click on Show Captions at the bottom of the screen. If you have a question during our Q&A segment, we welcome you to type it into the chat. And now, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Jung-Woo Bae. Jung-Woo is a longtime member of KidSpirit's community, president of KidSpirit's Alumni Council, and the youth representative for KidSpirit's Board of Directors. Welcome, Jung-Woo. Great to see you as always.
Great to see you too, Elizabeth, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. And welcome, everyone. Such a great joy to be here. And my name is Jung-Woo, and I have been a longtime member and contributor of KidSpirit. And I'm now serving as an alumnus, currently based in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm also honored to be a KidSpirit representative to ECOSOC. My KidSpirit journey goes all the way back to the year 2015, where as a young teen living in Auckland, New Zealand, I had the wonderful fortune of both discovering and contributing my youth voice for the magazine. With the dedicated support and help from KidSpirit staff, I was also able to convene together a group of like-minded high school classmates and go on to establish a new satellite editorial board based in New Zealand, where as a close-knit team, we would work together to produce inspiring artwork, generate creative prompts for meaningful discussion, and create lasting memories with one another. Now, as I reflect back on those experiences, as well as the role KidSpirit has played in that journey, I'm constantly reminded of the power of curiosity, creativity, and above all, community in shaping our present and future generation into a more inclusive, progressive, and compassionate society. So it's my joy today to take part in this ECOSOC Forum, which similarly commits itself to that same pursuit of empowering and supporting the next generation of youth who will go on to change our world for the better. KidSpirit's affiliation with ECOSOC, as well as with the UN Department of Global Communications, offers young people in our community the opportunity to attend UN events and to have a seat at the table with global leaders. Collaboration, especially, is at the heart of KidSpirit's mission. In my experiences as a KidSpirit alum, I've had numerous opportunities to facilitate writing and editing workshops for youth across diverse ages, as well as mentor high school editors based in New York and in Pakistan. In keeping with this broader theme of collaboration, Global Youth Voices is a unique collaborative project where KidSpirit writers from around the world come together to co-create feature articles for the magazine. Over the years, KidSpirit writers from over 12 countries and 10 US states have joined forces as part of Global Youth Voices, and their contributions have included research articles, long-form creative writing pieces, videos, favorite recipes, and more. They have delved into far-ranging issue themes, including heritage, climate change, education, and courage. When I participated in the Global Youth Voices project called Our Warming Climate for KidSpirit's climate change theme, I had the opportunity to contribute my written voice as a young teenager living in New Zealand to advocate more globally for a sustainable, eco-friendly future. In KidSpirit's current issue on crisis and change, a group of KidSpirit writers explored how young people are enacting meaningful change and impact to address a variety of issues in their communities around the world. We are joined here today by the participants in this project, Anna Chesnik and Maria Bozovska from Ukraine, Fidigan Kelly from New York, Konrad Tittle from Texas, Jawad Maya from Jordan, and Mohammad Shahriar Khan from Pakistan. Later on during the breakout room portion of today's event, we will have a chance to hear from the participants about their experiences collaborating with one another and what they learned from the research. I'm now going to hand it over to Taylor Cornelius, KidSpirit's editorial and communications assistant, who will be moderating our panel discussion a little later. Over to you, Taylor.
Thank you so much, Jung-woo. It's so lovely to be here with all of you today. So hello, my name is Taylor Cornelius, and I am the editorial and communications assistant at KidSpirit. In my role at KidSpirit, I work with teen contributors on their articles for the magazine and help facilitate special events and opportunities for our community. I also run the workshop program where KidSpirit writers and editors have the chance to delve into writing and conversation with peers from around the world. And I'm so delighted to be here today. So just a little bit of background for those of you who may not be as familiar with the United Nations and the Economic Social Council Youth Forum. Let me give you a little bit of context about this event. Every year, the UN hosts an event designed specifically to engage young people in the conversations that will shape our future. These conversations are centered around the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, which were laid out by the UN in 2015 in hopes of achieving significant positive change by the year 2030. Each year, a few of the 17 SDGs are up for review, and this year, KidSpirit will be focusing on SDG 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions, and SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals. Today, we're going to explore these SDGs in a 25-minute panel, and then we will have time for a Q&A. Later, we'll have the chance to co-create something based on this conversation and what we learned from one another. To help guide our conversation, we have prepared 3 guiding questions, which I will pose to our panelists. The first 2 questions are related to SDGs 16 and 17, while the third question is a little bit more about KidSpirit's unique contribution to the global conversation. So you've all had a chance to meet Jung-woo and Junior Florentine, who opened our meeting today. And I'd also like to welcome our third panelist, Kavya Shah. Kavya, would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Taylor. Hi, everyone. I'm Kavya. I've been with KidSpirit for, I think, over 7 years now. I started in the 6th grade. I'm currently a sophomore at the University of Chicago. I think KidSpirit has played an instrumental role in just how I've grown from a writer to an editor to finally pursuing English as one of my majors at college. I think I've grown from being an editor to part of the alumni council, like Jung-woo said. And I definitely am super honored and I'm super thrilled to be part of this panel here today with all of you. I think KidSpirit has played an instrumental role in fostering creativity, collaboration, and just allowing someone like myself to speak with people from different countries, continents, with such a diverse range of interests and lived experiences. And I think that's why we're all here today. So we can sort of share and talk about how we've all perceive ideas of peace, justice, being the youth that can lead the change at some point in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kavya. It's lovely to have you all here. And Jung-woo and Junior, I'm so glad you are here as well. Before we get started with the panel, I just would like to ask our general participants if you would like to get out a pen and paper or open a new tab on your computer just to write down some notes as we have our panel conversations. We will have a chance for questions afterwards in our Q&A. So if you'd like to jot some things down, just wanted to give you a little reminder. All right, so let's get started with our first question, panelists, which will focus on SDG 16. So this first question is, what are some of the unique strengths that young people can bring to the table when creating a peaceful and inclusive society? And I don't know if one of you is dying to jump in first, but I was going to say, Jungwoo, you look like you're ready to go.
Yes. Well, Taylor, I think young people are at this really unique and critical interface between the past and the future. And when I think about youths, they're at an age and time where they're growing together symbiotically and in concert with our rapidly changing and evolving society. And so inherently, I think they possess this really rare, progressive, and forward-looking outlook, as well as having a wealth of ideas and perspectives which only they can give on what changes need to be made to today's society. And after all, I think they are the ones who will be inheriting our future. And the fact that they're living right in the middle and at the center of today's current, I think makes them especially well suited to identifying those problems and advocating for those issues.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it makes me think. I had a little bit of a chance to hear from the panelists before we began this meeting about their thoughts, and one of the things that Junior, you mentioned in your response to this question was seeing differences as opportunities for growth, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, sure. In my opinion, we usually right now are seeing like new transformations and a lot of empowerment for the so-called minorities or the groups that historically have been like more oppressed. But unfortunately, right now, the people who actually have the power to do like a complete transformation and a real impact are still the ones who still have more closed mind and the thought of that differences are aspects that instead of connecting us are aspects that separate us, and they see these differences as something bad or something that just makes us apart from each other. And I am totally sure that we are all have been in that position where we see a person who actually wants to do something good for the other, but don't actually have the knowledge and experience to do that. And how it would be possible that someone can actually help without having that knowledge and without having that experience. So the first thing that, in my opinion, we need to do is to change our mind and to start flipping the thought and switching the thought of thinking that differences make us just more far from each other instead of actually connecting. And we young people are the ones who are between that transformation, since we're the ones who are being taught educated with these new thoughts and new perspectives about life.
Right, that makes sense. I completely agree. And it makes me think also, Kavya, you had mentioned that young people have a specific adaptability, which I think very much ties into what Junior was saying. If you wanted to share a little bit about that as well.
Yes, I think adding on to what Junior said, I think the fact that differences are bringing us together sort of speaks to the fact that we live in an age where we've never been more in touch. There's a very high global connectivity. We're engaged in each other's lives. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of quick decision making. I think just as an adrenaline that comes with posting something on social media, the same adrenaline comes from sort of speaking to people and being able to engage in dialogues. I think the youth today has this innate ability to adapt, to change, um, to embrace change with open arms. The fact that everyone is okay with things changing and lives moving on. The fact that people are okay leaving behind things if it means moving forward and embracing the new possibilities. So I think all that sort of ties in with ideas of peace and inclusivity and hope, and just being able to understand and reconcile with the fact that we live in an age where people are incredibly in touch, we're invested in each other's lives. And while that is perceived as somewhat a negative thing, the fact that we're addicted to social media, the fact that we constantly invest in how the other people are behaving. It also speaks to the fact that it becomes a model for change, it becomes a model for hope, it becomes a model of being able to be there for each other in a way that we weren't being able to be there for each other earlier. And that sort of speaks to the entire concept of we're adapting, we're growing, we're including each other in conversations, just like this one, the fact that at 19 years old, I'm being able to be on a panel that is that is working with KidSpirit, with the UN, with having so many people here ready to listen to what I have to say. Just sort of speaks to the idea of how as the youth we're adapting, and the generations that will come after and that have come before us are also adapting and changing and connecting with each other in a way that we haven't before.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And I think actually this really leads perfectly into my next question for you all, talking about the opportunity to, meet with one another, to share this conversation, to be part of this KidSpirit and UN event. So what are some of the capabilities that young people have that can make partnerships more effective? What do you think about that? How can young people create lasting partnerships with one another, with organizations, with leaders? And I'm wondering, Kavya, I'm actually going to pass it back to you really quickly, just because you had something to say that I really liked about young people being ready to enter into a partnership without a fear of judgment and to be able to bring in multiple perspectives. And I was wondering if you would start us off by talking about that a little bit. Oh, we can't hear you for some reason. Hang on.
Is this better?
Yes. Okay. We're back.
I
No
think
worries.
I want to sort of break this up into like two aspects: the professional partnership and the personal partnership.
Okay. Yeah.
As someone actively recruiting for consulting right now, I think what's important is the fact that partnerships, like aspects like consulting, investment banking, the more finance-heavy venture capital, entrepreneurship, these are 20, 22-year-olds willing to go into board meetings, to go into the workplace with ideas, with innovative perspectives, that they're willing to make people listen. And the fact that there are big companies, the fact that there's the C-suite, CFOs, CEOs willing to listen to how 22-year-olds are modeling the finance breakups, or how 22-year-olds are sort of like changing how the perspective on ESG, the perspective on humanitarian aid. And that sort of speaks to the fact that in the professional setup, there's more and more importance to the unique perspectives that young people bring in, which leads to partnerships that sustain time. Especially because when you put your voice out there and it's heard, it sort of catalyzes change in a way that you are more ready to put yourself out there and understand that what you have to say holds value.
Yeah.
Internships are more relevant than ever. People are willing to take charge of their change and their lives um, in the professional setup. Personally, the same partnerships hold value in terms of intrapersonal relationships. The fact that everyone today is willing to empathize and understand where the other person's coming from is an important thing. The fact that we're unafraid of being judged. While that takes so much to get there, this entire to being shameless when you ask for help, I think is the most powerful thing that the youth has today. The fact that when I need something, I'm willing to sort of reach out to someone, and with the hope that the person I'm reaching out to is going to respond to me. And that even if they don't, it's okay. At least I made the effort. While this sort of bleeds into a conversation on mental health, what it means to sort of put yourself out there, being unashamed. But people today are willing to take the plunge and make split-second decisions, be it something as small or big as being in a relationship, be it something with respect to college applications. I think these are decisions that weigh immensely on your professional journey, but people still understand how to show themselves, talk to the ethos of their person, or being unafraid of judgment, being rejected or accepted into your dream college. There's so many decisions, so many perspectives you're making, and that makes partnerships with your boss, with your romantic partner, with your friends, with your family more and more effective because there's an open
Yeah.
communication where we don't judge.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love those thoughts about yeah, open communication and being able to be vulnerable in a way as a means to creating stronger partnerships. And Junior, I wanted to ask you, you said something that I also found really intriguing about the idea of nothing for us without us. And I think that's a really key element of young people being involved in these partnerships on a global level. So could you say a little bit about that?
Yeah, totally. As you mentioned, I'm probably sure that you have heard about that expression before, or maybe something that is related. Um, I just think that is a really powerful and a really complex sentence, since usually we tend to just have ideas or to prepare or to structure projects, and they can actually be really good, but how are we gonna make a truly impact or a really meaningful impact in people's lives if we are not actually working with the ones that we are trying to benefit? Let's say that we are trying to establish a project for people with disabilities, but how I will be able to actually know the needs of someone with disabilities if I don't have one? Or the same case is if I would like to structure and to develop or carry a project for children or teenagers, I'm gonna be able to actually make that impact that I want if I don't take a minute to actually have a conversation with them, know their perspectives, know their different points of view. And in my opinion, we youth are the ones who actually tend to just stop a little bit and to actually have this kind of really deep and important conversations with our peers rather than probably the options that adults will take, since they have the knowledge, since they're assume they already have the experience to actually have these kind of huge impacts when reality is really different.
Yeah. And I think this spirit of curiosity and also empathy is something
Totally,
that
as
is
well as
really
the
important.
creativity.
Yeah, definitely. And Jungwoo, I wanted to just pass it along to you to hear your thoughts, because you'd mentioned that young people bring a sense of empathy and being able to see one another in a more empathetic light to partnerships. So I'd like to ask you to share your thoughts on that before we move on to our next question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree. I think young people, and as we know them, I think they have this innate instinct and impulse almost to create with one another deep friendships. And I think one of young people's greatest strengths is their ability to see the other in a more sort of empathetic, enthusiastic and compassionate way. And I think that's what makes them incredibly collaborative by nature. And it's what allows them to work so seamlessly with people from across cultures, from across religions and demographic backgrounds. And for that reason, and for all the reasons that we also discussed, I think that makes young people especially well poised to act as sort of our generation's natural ambassadors, so to speak, for bidirectional engagement, for understanding and bilateral mediation and so forth. And I think that's really at the essence of creating those enduring partnerships and creating that sense of community, both at a local and also worldwide level.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I would like to sort of pivot a little bit away from young people's role specifically, and now talk more generally about sort of the reason that we're here today, which is part of KidSpirit's special magic, to talk about creativity. So my third question for you is, how do freedom of thought and creative expression facilitate innovative solutions to the complex problems that the SDGs seek to address? Or in other words, how can freedom of thought and creative expression be tools for change? So I would like to start I was wondering, Junior, if you'd like to start. I really loved you had something in your responses to say about a holistic approach to creativity, the sort of combination of logic and creativity to find solutions. And I was wondering if you could start with that because I thought that was such a fascinating way to look at this.
Sure, totally. Well, creative expression in problem solving is an essential skill that can range from something as simple as brainstorming to, as you mentioned, to a holistic approach to challenges, combining logical process with imaginative techniques to actually create innovative solutions. And personally, I think that our world, the problems that we currently have are mainly because we still have the thought that the more complex something is, the better or more meaningful its results will be. When in reality, we all know that the simplest and most basic solutions are usually the ones that really matters and the ones that actually have a real impact in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that that is a good perspective to remember that sometimes going back to the most basic solutions or taking our creativity um, to create those moments of insight for ourselves and create solutions that maybe are simple but are unexpected, I think is really special. And I wanted to say, Kavya, you talked a little bit in your response about finding the courage to speak your mind and how every voice is unique, which I think is a really important element of creative expression. So what would you say about having a unique voice as part of this solution?
I think having the courage to sort of speak your mind is something that always drives you as a person. I think when you find the courage to actually speak what you think, it instills this immediate power and this empower and then you feel empowered in your own in your resolution and how you perceive things, which is very important because then it helps you be there for yourself first and foremost before being there for someone else. And I think that is sort of comes down to the root of creating content or being creative or sort of being able to sort of find ways to express how you feel. Because when you are able to speak for yourself and find your own voice, you find this ability to sort of speak up for injustice of being able to catalyze change. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think someone somewhere said, I'm forgetting who said it, but they said that everyone has their voice. Some people are just scared to use theirs. And I think when you find the courage to use your voice, you in so many ways inspire someone else to speak up and save lives. And it's okay if the life you save is your own. Like that's perfectly understandable and fine. I think this generation we romanticize saving someone else or sort of doing a big change and having a drastic impact. I think impact is always start small. It starts with yourself, it starts with your family, with your friends, and then you find ways to expand and sort of work and create content. And hopefully somewhere as an artist all you can hope is someone reads what you write and hopes they connect and sees themselves in your work. And I think that's sort of what I was getting at when I said to find the courage to speak your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important to discern the difference in freedom and creativity. I think because what comes with creating stories is that there are no new stories. It's always a replication, a recreation, a reformation of a story already told. But when you live your story, when you have a new voice, it sort of switches the narrative up a little bit. So I think that's what I was getting to add when I'm saying you need to find the courage to speak your mind.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
and
that that's a great point. And it's very true. And it also makes me think about something, Jung Woo, you said that uh, that art provides us a lens through which to reimagine issues. You were specifically talking about visual art and writing, but that ties in and also complements what Kavya was saying about finding our individual voices. So could you talk a little bit about that, about observation and art as a way to reimagine issues? Because I loved that idea.
Yeah, totally. And I think in order for there to be any sort of meaningful change, I think there first needs to be a broader awareness and observation of the problem at hand. And in order for that to happen, there needs to be a free and autonomous space for people to think deeply and personally and very acutely with those issues. And as you mentioned, Taylor, creative expression in all its different shapes and forms and manifestations, whether it's through visual art, writing, perhaps even film, video, and so forth. I think it's so effective at inspiring solutions to world problems. And as you mentioned, it provides youth with a lens and a medium to rethink and reimagine and re-see those issues that we are faced with today. And in effect, it nurtures and fosters greater understanding of it. And, it may not always lead us to a clear-cut and straightforward answer or solution, but I think it can get us close to it. And I think that's where the real power of creativity and expression lies, is getting us closer to that truth and solution.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that really speaks to me as somebody who is an artist. I love the idea of creativity as a way to get closer to the truth of something, whether that's a solution or our own truth within ourselves. And I think that's a beautiful note on which to end this portion of the panel conversation. Thank you all so much for sharing your wonderful insights on these topics. I mean, I could talk about this honestly all day, so but I'm trying to wrangle us and keep us on time a little bit. So we're going to have a few moments now for questions from the room. So we're so thrilled with our attendance today, but because of the number of people, we are going to ask you to put your questions in the chat rather than raising your hands, because we just have a lot of people to wrangle. So I'd like to open up the room for questions now. We'll probably have time for maybe two or three questions before we take a little break. So yeah, please put your questions in the chat and I will pass them along to our panelists. I see Katie has put in a little invitation for questions in the chat as well. I know everybody's always shy about who's going to be the first question asker, and maybe people are furiously typing away right now. Just going to give it another second to see if we have any questions. Okay, awesome. We have a question from Anna Sadan. Thank you for your question. They ask, how can we encourage youths to have more creativity? Which I love that question. So what do you panelists, what would you suggest as a way to encourage youths to have more creativity? If one of you feels particularly excited, please jump in. Otherwise I can call on you. What do you think, Junior? I'm curious. Oh, sorry, Jungwoo.
No, please. No, I was just going to say that I think the first step is to just express yourself. Whether it's through writing or poetry or prose or any sort or art. In order to foster creativity, you need to practice it, I think. And so getting in that habit of just reflecting about those issues, whatever it might be, I think that's a good first step in practicing and nurturing creativity for yourself.
Definitely. I agree. I think practice is an underrated part of creativity. Okay, so I see we have a question from Ananya in India. Ananya asks, in light of recent events like the wars between Russia and Ukraine or Israel and Palestine, what extra efforts are needed by young people to achieve peace and justice as mentioned in SDG 16? So what do you think in light of these global conflicts? I know this is maybe a little bit more of a heavy question, but I think it's important for us to talk about. How do you think young people can unite around peace and justice in times of conflict?
I think the best thing that we can do is have conversations.
Yeah.
Like we are right now. I think being able to have conversations and make policy leaders hear what we have to say. I think the pricing on social media, the pricing on platforms are important. They're sort of allowing the youth to help people listen, to let people know we have a voice. And the fact that we're having conversations like these at events like these sort of speaks to the fact that we're doing what we can to sort of talk about what we believe is just. Again, justice and peace are very intrinsic concepts. These are values that are come within you, and the fact that we're able to sort of talk about them, share them with each other, and come to a holistic concept of what we mean to do is how sort of we can look for ideas of peace and justice in times of global conflict.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I have kind of an interesting follow-up question from Edwin, who's in Nairobi, which is, given that and given the importance of conversations, how can we use technology and social media to connect with those who might be left behind in these conversations? And are there ways to reach larger audiences? What are your thoughts about social media and its role in bringing people together? How do you inspire motivation through social media? Junior, I'd love to pass the baton to you. I see you nodding.
Yeah, sure. Social media is something really crucial nowadays in how we interact and how we get to different conversations and to different information. And I think has a key aspect on actually sensibilizing people and connecting and trying to just have more empathy with each other. And I would say that it's something really important that we speak up and just share our experiences and share or the different situations that we're going through, since by doing that we can actually and truly connect with someone that is having or going through that aspect. Because something we can just watch the news or read some articles, but it's different to actually read or see a video, or better say watch a video of someone who is actually going through that situation, instead of just a professional or someone who has a script to talk about. So I would say it's something really crucial that we have to use more and more to just try to share our own versions of our stories.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. I think it's such a powerful tool to see people's individual experiences, and really to form those bonds of empathy with one another when you see somebody's personal experience rather than just seeing a sort of distant report about what's going on in the world. I completely agree. Okay, I think we only have time for one more question. I'm so sorry. There's so many fantastic questions in the chat, and I wish that we could just keep talking about this all day. But I wanted to end, I really loved this question from Heidi from Illinois, which is a little bit of a question for you three as mentors, as graduates of KidSpirit's, as alum. What are some tips that you would give to younger kids? And what tips would you have for them to get comfortable expressing themselves and using their voices confidently? Like how do you think about, think back at your younger self. What advice would you give to younger kids who maybe want to be more creative or get involved in something like KidSpirit or the UN or these opportunities that we have, but maybe feel a little bit shy or reticent? What would you say to them?
I think for me, one of the main reasons why I ended up being so comfortable with my voice and writing so much is because I had the mentorship from KidSpirit and from my teachers in elementary and middle school. I think it's important to have some form of guidance or mentor to sort of help you find your voice and find how you can write and find the creativity. I think it's important to try as many forms of creative mediums as you can. Try visual arts, try music, try painting, try writing, try prose, poetry, explore with writing plays. I think, as Jungwoo said, practice is the most important thing the more you write, the more you read, the more you fall in love with the craft, the more comfortable you're going to be talking about your craft. I think there's now more than ever, there's opportunities where you can speak and you can find a platform where people will hear your voice without judgment. I think KidSpirit gave that to me. So I think that finding organizations and mentors and peers that who are willing to give you feedback and who are willing to support your journey is important, especially when you're young. I think just getting to the practice of even journaling, I think that really helped me. Sort of the practice of pen to paper some few times a week helped me sort of understand how much I liked it and understand how much I wanted it to be part of my own life, which eventually when the time came, it was the same pen to paper, that practice that helped me sort of publish my writing professionally.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we do have to wrap up here. Jungwoo and Junior, I just want to give you an opportunity if you have a little last thought you want to share with us before we move on. Any sort of final thoughts about that? Advice that you'd give to your younger self?
Yeah, I just love to bounce off Kavya's points there. But you know, and it's such a good question. But you know, I encourage, I think, everyone to just tap into yourselves just, you know, for a moment and find what matters to you. I think, you know, it might be your culture, it might be family, it might be something as local as those things. But I think it can also be as global as, you know, climate change, for instance, or, you know, crises and so forth. So I would, you know, just, you know, give yourself some time to find what gets you up in the morning and start writing about those issues because, you know, chances are you're going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, I agree.
I would just add to what Kavya and Yongwoo just said, the aspect that don't compare yourself with others. You know, that's usually something that really stops you to actually take full potential of your creativity, of any talent or ability that you are developing. So instead of competing with others and comparing yourself with other people, try to change the way you look at things and try to surround with people that you admire, and instead of seeing them as a comparison or something that you have to get, you have to just try to learn from them. And by doing that, I'm totally sure that you would definitely achieve different aspects or different dreams that you would like.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you so much, Jungwoo, Junior, Kavya. It's been such a pleasure to have this conversation with the three of you and to share it with the group today. Okay, so now everybody, we are going to take a 5-minute break. This is where it's going to get really fun because when we come back, we're actually going to create something together in the breakout rooms. So if you're an adult, don't leave. This is also for you. If you're a kid, don't leave. This is for you. And after the breakout rooms, we're going to come back together as a big group and share what we discussed and look at our co-created statement that we've put together. So please do not log off the call. We're not ending the meeting. You're welcome to turn off your video for a few minutes if you need to get up and stretch or grab a glass of water. But otherwise, we will see you. I guess we're going to reconvene at 2. So 4 minutes, just a little quick refresher break, and we'll see you very soon.
Welcome back, everyone. That was very, very exciting and speedy. So I didn't even get to say a thank you to the people who were in my room because somebody was cut off in mid-thought, which was a very interesting thought, by the way. So welcome back, everyone. We're excited to hear about each of our breakout rooms. Ours was full of ideas, and it was a very rich opening, let's say, to what could be a day-long or month-long or year-long conversation. We're going to see how this whole puzzle fits together in just a few moments with our co-created statements. And so I want to first thank everybody who ran a breakout room and to our Global Youth Voices participants who shared about their experiences. And now I'd like to invite each of our current alumni and KidSpirit participants to give us a sense of what happened in their rooms. Kavya, I think if you would like to share, I would love to hear your thoughts about your conversation.
Yes, I think the conversation was very interesting. Everyone had so many insights on how we can foster creativity and how can adults support and what specific actions we can take. I think ideas that came up were that it is imperative to create safe spaces where people can express freely, where people don't feel judged. I think an idea that came across that was debated and talked about was the fact that people today aren't afraid of expressing themselves when they're around peers and friends who are listening to them, which bleeds into the idea of how even the best ways adults can support creativity is by simply being there, by supporting, by listening, by coming from a place of warmth and care and hearing them instead of coming from a place of conformity or coming from a place of a structured approach towards how creative
Yeah,
solutions should sort of be brought upon. Think kids listen to each other even before they can speak to parents or adults, and just coming from the space of being there for each other and listening to them is something that is an important aspect that we talked about quite a bit.
thank you. All right, that's wonderful. It sounds like a very interesting conversation. And Junior, what about your group?
Yeah, something that I found really interesting and just fascinating is how basically almost all agree on the aspect that talking about creativity, we don't actually have those barriers that we usually have in almost every aspect of our lives, since we can have a different religion, a different race, a different political opinion, a different perspectives, but art and creativity are actually some aspects that unify and connect us no matter our differences. So I was really happy and surprised that just came around, and also the aspect that volunteerism is something crucial and a key aspect to collaboration, and not only the thing of giving your time, your knowledge and your expertise, but also to be open to actually be humble and to share your knowledge, but at the same time respect the opinions that others have, especially talking about adults.
Absolutely. No, that's so true. And that brings up, an entirely different wrinkle in this conversation. And what about Conrad, or what about your group? Or I should say our group.
Right. Yeah, so what I found super interesting about our discussion in particular was this sort of dynamic between the older generation and youth that could sort of how these two groups could coexist to foster change. So on one hand, we sort of echoed similar themes to what the panelists discussed. For example, I think Jung Woo mentioned that there's this sort of Goldilocks zone that the youth has so that we can we're in sort of the middle between the past and the future. We can play on the past in order to make change in the future. And so that's the advantage of the youth, in addition to the fact that we can sort of emancipate ourselves from this tendency to romanticize the past and this nostalgia. And we can sort of look with a clear mind into the future and gain this sort of fresh sense of what issues matter for us, and what issues will impact us in the future. But simultaneously, the older generation can sort of open really strong connections to the youth and sort of build on these ideas with even more historical precedent. And so there's this sort of beautiful harmony at play that we sort of mentioned. I thought that was super interesting.
Absolutely, to bring in the intergenerational relationships and how to really leverage those for positive change. That's true, absolutely. And Shahriar Khan, what about your group?
So just like Conrad has mentioned, adding on to what he has said, some of the solutions that, are you able to hear me?
Yes, hear you perfectly, yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. So some of the solutions that in various ages added were that the support of parents and the elders is essential to help youth be more creative and give them the freedom to speak for themselves and express themselves. Furthermore, the reasons as to why kids are better at creating solutions are that kids have fewer limitations. They do not overthink and do not listen to the naysayers. They actually see the solutions that the adults can't see. or are not able to implement due to fear or due to being as people usually judge them for their thoughts. So because of that fear, they're not able to implement the courses of action that they would usually. Lastly, in order to create more inclusivity, we must actively and empathetically listen to each other and must partake in non-judgmental hearing. Lastly, we must also help to create solutions with the user rather than for the user. So those were the solutions
Fantastic.
that.
Thank you so much. No, that's amazing. And I just got word that Taylor has our document ready to share. And I'm so sorry that we just lost Conrad. He told me that his computer was dying. So that happens. But in any case, I want to invite Taylor to come back. And this is going to be really exciting to see what we all put together today. Hi, Taylor. Thank you for doing that. You put it all together. Thank you.
No problem. So thanks everyone for sharing your ideas and insights during our breakout room sessions. And I'm so excited to share sort of the fruits of these conversations and the document that we have co-created with all of you. So I've been integrating the language that we all came up with in the breakout rooms during this review time. I've been working on that, and we've drafted a statement, which I will share with you now. Before I do, I just want to say a special thank you to Anna Chasnik from KidSpirit's Ukraine editorial board, who created the beautiful banner image that we have for our statement. So special thank you to Anna. And without any further ado, I will share my screen so you all can see this beautiful statement. Alrighty, so here we are, and I'm going to ask Kavya if you wouldn't mind reading this statement. That would be fantastic.
Of course. Global Youth United, KidSpirit's statement on the power of collective collaboration to address United Nations SDGs 16 and 17. Whereas the members of the KidSpirit community and the participants in the United Nations ECOSOC Youth Forum side event, Amplifying Youth Voices through creative collaboration, hereby present this statement as a call to action for global leaders and UN entities in order to implement creative youth-led solutions to issues of urgent importance to our world, and in particular SDG 16 and SDG 17, it is imperative that young people's perspectives are included in these vital conversations and that the unique insights are incorporated in addressing critical global issues. We hereby affirm that the youth can shine in unique ways in addressing these topics of crucial concern to us all. As we seek to build a more peaceful and inclusive society, youth can lead the creative effort due to their empathy, enthusiasm, openness, ability to listen, idealism, diverse perspectives, and the ability to look towards the future. We also agree that young people are uniquely capable of collaboration, working together by listening to each other, utilizing technology, connecting through social platforms, prioritizing artistic contributions, and embracing education opportunities. They can apply their creativity towards innovative solutions. Furthermore, we affirm that by working in intergenerational partnership, we can magnify our impact. Adults can support youth efforts by listening with an open mind and honoring youth perspectives, sharing their wisdom, and encouraging young people to follow their intrepid and creative spirit. Unanimously approved on April 16, 2024, we, the undersigned, share these collective aspirations with the ECOSOC Youth Forum.
Awesome, thank you. And you can see we've added everybody who's been in attendance. We've added your signatures to the bottom of this document. Again, we will be sharing this document with both the ECOSOC and other UN entities, but also with our KidSpirit community and with all the participants here today. So you can have a closer look at it and find your name when we share that. So I'm going to stop my screen share now, and I'm going to invite the group. I mean, I don't really know if we have much time for this, but if anybody just wants to share a last thought or two, if anybody would like to comment on the process of creating this statement, or what they learned in their breakout rooms, please raise your hand and we'll call on you and unmute you so we can hear your voice. But we're just going to do this for 1 or 2 minutes because we really kind of, we had a lot to get done today and we don't have a ton of time left. So, but if anybody would like to you can use the raise hand function on Zoom. So we can see you and that will pop you up to the top of our screen so we can call on you. If anybody has something they would like to share with the group.
I think while we're waiting here, I'm just going to say we really appreciate your choosing to be with us today and be part of this amazing conversation. This has been a very generative experience for us, and it's a fascinating and forward-looking statement. And so we're really, really happy you chose to be with us today. And if there are any comments, Taylor, you'll let me know. But I want to thank the organizers of the ECOSOC Youth Forum and our fellow youth organizations at the UN, and each one of you here today, whether youth attendees, KidSpirit alumni, and honored guests. If you would like to learn more about KidSpirit, we'd love to hear from you. You can visit us at kidspiritonline.com or email us at info@kidspiritonline.com if you'd like to reach out, if you have further comments or feedback. I do see, Taylor, that there are a few people who might have a question, and I'm happy to defer to that. And I just wanted to thank you all very, very much. This has been a marvelous experience for us. I see some hands up. Taylor, would you like to take the questions from the group?
Sure. Okay, Gustavo, I'm going to call on you and ask you to unmute yourself. Whoops, sorry. Maybe I did that too many times. Gustavo, are you here and can you hear me?
Yeah, now it works. Okay, so the one thing that I want to stress is that as of this forum, it's been constantly proven to me that one of the unique qualities that youth can bring to the table is that most of them, I don't think I'm part of that group that much anymore, is that we are prejudice free. And I think that's one of our unique qualities when it comes to dialogue and collaborating, not just between our peers and also between adults, so that again, maybe we can try to make them understand or take into consideration our points of view. And that's the one thing that I wanted to share. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. That's a wonderful thing. And I think this open-mindedness and sense of possibility is something so special that youth bring to the table. All right. I think we have something from Anas Sadan. I see that you raised your hand in the chat. If you want to unmute, if I can find you and unmute you. Okay, here we go. You want to share something, Anas?
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my opinion about today's meeting. Actually, I was firmly interested to talk with you in my first session, and actually, I have just encouraged myself, though everybody's speech on today's topic regarding the youth creativity. And I'm living in a country, in Bangladesh, where actually the youth creativity is firmly needed, but we have no one to encourage the youth. And my friends are already devastated in that matter. So to the part of KidSpirit, so can they be involved in that matters? But we don't have any group in that matter. So I think it is one kind of prickle to encourage the youth creativity. And for that, actually, could you help me? How can we spread our emotions? And actually, we know that emotion is also very helpful to encourage the creativity. And for that, could you help me to encourage the creativity to our country, or could you give me an idea?
Absolutely. Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much for being here. It really means so much to us that you came and that you're here with us today. So thank you. And absolutely, we have your contact information. So I'm happy to reach out to you if you would like to be more involved with KidSpirit. We have free workshops If you have friends who want to submit things to the magazine, we can be in touch about that. And I think also just in your lives, encouraging creativity, like Jung-woo was saying during the panel, just taking time to experiment with different things and trying painting and trying drawing and trying singing and whatever makes you feel happy and fulfilled. I think it's important to follow that. But we would love to have you participate in KidSpirit specifically. So please feel free to email me or the info@kidspiritonline.com email address, and we can give you some opportunities to contribute to the magazine and talk with you more about that. But thank you for being here. It really means a lot to us. And Ananya, I'm just going to give you 1 minute to share your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to first thank you so much for organizing this event, because it was very informative, especially the speakers, because I think that the undertaking that we've done today, the statement that we've all made, it's showing that each of us, we all have an individual voice, and that I feel that all of us are more instilled with confidence after this session today, that if we all come together and be one as a group, then we can really drive change, and we can contribute to so many good things, and at the global level, at a national level as well. So thank you so much for organizing this.
Thank you, Ananya. That was super helpful, and you have the last word. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for making this a great experience and for spreading the creativity, the ideas, the positivism, and moving forward together. So hope to see you again soon, and thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. Take care and have a great rest of your day.